Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. In today's video I'm going to be doing a very quick and simple Christmas bauble. So to begin with, I got a plastic cup and I drew a circle around it. You could do this freehand if you like. As you know, I do like to work freehand, but with something like this where it needs to be a perfect sphere and when we want to be very quick and simple, I decided it was easiest just to draw around it. Now if you wanted, you could use a coloured pencil to draw around using the same colour as your bauble, or you could use a coloured Inktense pencil if you've got those. Because today I'm going to be using the Inktense blocks and I'm just sticking to two colours apart from the little top of the bauble. So for the bauble itself, I'm using chili red and violet. So two lovely colours, and I'm allowing them to mix on the paper. Because baubles are made of glass, using the paints wet in wet and allowing them to merge on the paper and having them more transparent is going to work better than layering them up wet on dry. So the Inktense can be quite opaque when you layer them together. And we don't want that for the glass, so I began by wetting the whole of the bauble first of all, just with water. So once that was wet, I then began to add the red, and then to make the shadows I added the violet underneath where it was darkest. So to get the highlight on the glass, I just left that area at the top of the bauble and allowed those colours to merge in. And the thing with Inktenses and the Inktense blocks is it's very easy to mix them around on the paper. If you've got your paper nice and wet to begin with, if you have a damp brush, you can sort of just push them around a little bit and then you stop getting cauliflowers or hard edges or anything, and it's a little bit easier to work with than watercolour in that respect. You could do this little project with watercolour, of course. The reason I decided to pick the Inktense was because I like these colours and because you've got that lovely depth of colour. They're really bright. Okay, so let me think what else I was going to tell you. So once I'd done the bauble itself, I then did a little bit of a shadow underneath just to ground it. I think you always need to ground things. So I added a wetter mixture of the violet and then added a little bit more of the red and violet into it. And make sure when you're doing a shadow that you touch the item, that because there isn't going to be a gap between the item itself and the shadow. So touch those, and if it's wet in wet, allow the colours to merge. So once I'd done that, I then painted the little top, and if you notice on your baubles, some of you will have been doing your trees, and if you look at your baubles, the way that they're made is the glass actually goes into that little top piece. So whatever colour the glass is, that's going to be going up into that top piece, and it's usually sort of a little zigzaggy shape at the top where that metal fastener fastens on. Some of them are quite elaborate, some of them are very plain. I came in at the end and put a little bit of pattern on mine just with a pencil, but I did that just using the very bright yellow of the Inktense block because the yellow is particularly lovely and bright. So I did that with that. Use a brush that's got a nice point to it so you can get into the corners. You'll see on the right hand side of the bauble I went over the line and I had to correct that and tidy it up. So get a good point on your brush and be perhaps a little bit more patient than me at getting into those pencil lines and keeping within your sphere. So once I'd done that, I allowed the whole thing to dry. And then I came along and put some shimmer on, because at this time of year it's nice to have a bit of a play with different media and try some shiny things. So I used the Daler Rowney Pearlescent acrylic ink, and the two colours, I'm just reading them off the bottle here, see if I can find the colours, were Moon Violet and the other one was Platinum Pink. Now the main thing to remember when using these acrylics is you must shake them up very vigorously before you use them. The iridescence settles to the bottom of the pot, and if you don't shake them up it doesn't work very well. The other thing is they can clog up. The little pipettes, the end of the pipette can clog up and it can get dry ink in there, and then it's very difficult to get out. So something like a pin is very handy, where you can just prise that little bit of dried ink out of the bottom of the pipette before you start working with them. So two really nice colours there. So really we just used a red in the Inktense to go with the pink in the ink, and similarly the violet and the violet. So we kept the colours very limited. You could go mad and use all sorts of colours on a bauble because of course they come in so many different colours. You could do whatever you want. So I wasn't following anything. I didn't have a picture to copy or anything like that. It was just out of my head. So let me think what else I wanted to tell you about that. So at the end I came in and used a pencil to add a little bit more shadow under the bottom of the bauble. It you know, it really needs to be quite dark underneath, and that makes the highlight show up more. And I think that's about everything really. Of course, you could make it much more elaborate. You could spend a little bit more time with the pattern on the actual bauble that you were putting on with the shimmer. You could do that with a brush if you're not happy about using the pipette to draw with and you're worried about it all coming out in a splodge, which it can do when you're drawing with the pipette of the ink bottle. If you're worried about that, then put it on with your brush. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And you can also dilute your inks as well if you prefer to have it not just as shiny, because when you put it on very thickly like I did there, it dries and it's quite 3D, you know, it's quite raised. If you wanted it to be much smoother than that, you could add some water to it and put it on with your brush. There's nothing wrong with that either. And there are other iridescent mediums you can buy. I also use the Winsor & Newton watercolour one, and you could have put that across this as well, or indeed some gold leaf if you wanted to. They're all different things we can try. And I decided to leave the background white because I'd managed almost to keep within those lines and kept it quite as crisp as I could. And so I think the white background looks quite nice because you could then transfer it onto a card if you wanted to. You could photograph this and make Christmas cards from it, and then you could add digitally some words to that. You could put Happy Christmas across the top, or you could add some clip art type things, some gifts to it. You could add, you know, some little bits of holly and things around that you maybe got off the internet. So you could very quickly on the computer make that into a nice Christmas card that you could print off in multiples. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. For those of you that are new to my channel, we're here every Monday and Thursday with various art projects, tutorials, demonstrations in all different media. I like working in watercolour. I really like the Inktense. They're good fun. If you haven't got the Inktense, I can really recommend them. They're very handy to have if you want to do something very quickly, because you can soon get a lot of colour on there and soon make quite an impact with your painting with the Inktense. And they're really good for travelling as well, because again, you only need a few colours and you've got a lot of depth of colour, and they're very quick and easy to use straight from the tin there. Okay, so I will be back again on Thursday with another video. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, or you want to ask comments about it, or you want to ask any questions about what I've been doing, or anything I haven't explained well, or any questions on any of my other videos, just do that in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I don't always get back to you straight away, but I do get quite a lot of comments as my channel is growing, so it does take a little while for me to catch up with them, but I will do my best to get back to you within a few days. Okay, and if there's any video that you really want me to do, anything that you would particularly like to draw that you want instruction on, then just ask in the comments, and again I will try and get on with that as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video. I'll carry on now with some music until the end, when we go and put that nice iridescence on and see what it looks like at the end. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.